Please remind me if I've missed that one. Correct. So this is the put call parity equation. Is it okay? The box which I'm writing about. Anybody who have not understood what do you mean by the put call parity equation? Anuj.
I got it, sir.
Okay, please raise your hand if you have understood this. Put call parity equation.
Sir, like at t equal to capital T and at t equal to 0, like both the equation, like the second equation we get just by dividing e to the power rt. Then how can we understand like they are like there is some meaning like at equal to t and at equal to 0?
Come again, please.
Sir, like first equation we had written at expiry t equal to capital T, and the second equation we are getting just by dividing e to the power rt. And then we are saying that this equation is at t equal to 0. So how can we understand these things like interpretation like?
Okay, as a function of time, what I can write?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me write it in a correct manner. So there are certain cash flow, correct? Uh, Look into this one. At t is equal to 0, what are the cash flow? T is equal to 0, what are the cash flow? C naught, correct? What are the things which we know? S naught
Yes, sir.
and P
Yes,
naught.
sir. Yes,
And
sir.
T is equal to expiry. What all things are there? Only the K.
Yes, sir.
Correct? If I take any intermediate time, let's say T, small t, correct? Or let me write it as a
Yes, sir.
T1. Okay, so that it would be clear. So T is equal to T1. What I need to do is I need to bring all these values here. What would be the future value of this and what will be the discounted value of this? I can write it as the same equation which I have written, minus S naught e to the power RT1 will
Yes, sir.
not, right? And this would be equal to minus C naught e to the power RT1 plus
Yes, sir.
P naught e to the power again T1, but it will be K e to the power minus R T minus small t, small T1.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now here if I put T1 is equal to 0, this is what I'm trying to. This would be, if in general, this should be the no, as a function of time, this should have been the put call parity equation. But we can, because the P naught and C naught put and call option pricing, we are giving it at T is equal to 0. So we will try to see that at present whether C naught and P naught are following put call parity equation or not.
Okay, sir.
All right, if I put T1 is equal to 0, I'll simply, if I put T1 equal to 0, I will simply get this one. Will I not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now it's clear, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other question? So let's take an example. I'm simply giving a very small example. I'll do half of this and you will be doing rest of that one. So suppose at present S naught value can be given by 40. Risk-free interest rate compounded annually, the value is 0.05. Okay, not compounded annually, rather it will be the continuous compounding. C naught value is been given as 3, and the strike price I'm going to say is again is 40. This strike price basically is my and between the holder and writer. This is what is the agreement between that, right? And that maturity is 1/4 years or 3 months. Can you tell me using the put call parity equation what should have been the value of P naught? Please do it quickly. You can see this put call parity equation at top.
$2.5.
Okay, so it's not very tough. So we got that P naught should be equal to 2.5. Right. Correct. Now let's assume a situation. What if P naught is actually the value in the market is 2? Is it underpriced or overpriced?
From a buyer's perspective, it is underpriced.
So it is from the buyer's perspective, it is an underpriced. Why from the buyer's perspective it is underpriced?
Because if I was a writer of the put option, then it would be overpriced. Like I would be losing money in that case.
No, you're not from the buyers or this statement try to understand not correct. Whether it is buyer or there is an asset. Try to understand there is an asset whose price should be 2.5, but whose price is now 2. It's not about buyer or seller. Just try to understand an asset or a derivative. I'll talk about again this one. An option. Something is there whose price should be 2.5, but now it is 2. Whether it is underpriced or overpriced.
Underpriced.
Yes.
Underpriced.
If you wanted to buy, you would have bought it at 2.5, but now you can buy it at 2. If you wanted to sell it, you would have sell it at 2.5, but now you are able to sell it at 2. Irrespective of whether it is buyer or seller, I'll just look at the price of an asset and I say that, okay, it should have been 2.5, but it is 2 now. So this is underpriced. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Ashish, did you
Yes.
get this one?
Yes.
All right. So underpriced item, what I do? Right. So this is there is an arbitrage situation. How can I, see and how can I actually explore this arbitrage situation? I'm just writing what I will be doing at t is equal to 0. Right, try to understand, because what I don't want to do anything. I don't want to have an asset. Right, if I'm buying, I need to sell it also. Correct, I don't want to keep anything with me. I just want to get rid of everything. Only I need is to explore this arbitrage condition. So definitely, if something is underpriced, what I would like to do, I'd like to buy.
Buy.
Yes. So the first thing, I'll just jump into that hold put. All right, because we are holding a put option, and I want to get rid of everything. Correct. I'll write a call. Correct. And also I'll buy the asset at t is equal to 0. As simple as that. Right, because holding put means what?
Now we will buy at t equal to 0 and later on sell.
Holding a put means what? At expiry, what I'm doing?
We will exercise the put if it gives us profit.
No. What do you mean by the call
So
option?
it is a short position.
Whether, what do you mean by the call option? That's what I'm saying. What do you do if you are a holder of a call option? What you do?
Buy.
So if you are a writer of a call option, what you will do?
Well,
Sell,
So
sir.
here you try to see that I'm marking it in a different color. Writing a call means sell,
Yes, sir.
and holding a put means also what? Sell.
yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
At sell at expiry, and just let me write it as that, sell at expiry, just for you to understand what next I need to do. Because I'm selling at the expiry, I need to have an asset.
Yes, sir.
I bought that asset, correct, at is equal to 0, and whatever is the difference, I took a loan. So the fourth thing does not, it's very common. So holding a put, how much we are getting? 3, yes or no? Holding a put, how much, sorry, holding a put -2, sorry. Holding a put, I need to pay how much? -2. Writing a call is giving me ₹3. Buying an asset is going to give me rupees, I need to have a ₹39, 40, and whatever is left out, I'll take a loan. So my net investment at t is equal to 0 is 0. Can you see this one? I said that the call option premium is ₹3. Put option premium according to the given asset, according to our put call parity, should have been 2.5. I'm just trying to explore the situation. What if the put option price would have been 2? It's just a situation. I know that put option is underpriced, so I would buy the put option. So I'm holding the put option basically. When I'm holding a put option, I need to actually end up with an asset. I just don't need that asset. So what I did is I write a call option, and also because in both the cases I'm selling irrespective. Why I'm holding and writing? Because I know that it is equivalent to a forward where I will be selling it. Yesterday class, what we did? Yesterday class, what we did, if you look here, long forward is equivalent to holding a call option and writing a put option, right? I can simply
Yes,
write
sir.
it. I can simply write it here is that in case of short would be, instead of holding a call option, I would have been writing a call option and holding a put option, right?
Yes, sir.
This would have been equivalent irrespective of whatever is the asset price. I would have end up selling it if I have enter into the either into the forward short forward, or I am writing a call option and holding a put option. Is it making sense?
yes, sir.
Please raise your hand if you have got this. Ashish?
Sir, since the asset is underpriced, we need to buy it at expiry, right? Why are we buying it at
Asset is there. This asset is not underpriced. Put option is underpriced. Asset is nothing, and we are not talking about the asset. The derivative of this asset, which is put option, that is underpriced. The okay,
okay.
put option should have been the price of the put option should have been 2.5, but if it is 2, then it is underpriced. Yes or no? Right. So now, so is this cash flow okay to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Right. So now let's say that t is equal to 1/4 month, 1/4 years or 3 months. There could be two scenario. ST could be less than equal to 40, or ST could be greater than equal to 40. What I want you to do is to put out all the cash flow which is occurring here. and tell me, is there any positive cash flow generated here? Then we can say that, okay, we have an arbitrage here. Can you find it out what would have been the cash flow? First case. Correct. First case. When we are holding a put option, now the strike price, spot price is less than 40. Whether the put option will be exercised or the call option will be exercised.
Put option will be exercised.
Right. So I can simply write for the call option it is 0. Right. And how much, what would be the cash flow here?
ST, K minus ST.
So 40 minus ST. Right. We have bought the asset, so value would be ST. And we have taken a loan. So you can find it out how much I need to repay. How much do I need to repay?
39 e to the power RT.
So it would be around 39.65. Correct? This is the situation. If you add all this together, it will be around 0.35. Okay. Are you getting this one? So again, in the second scenario, we are holding a put option, but the put option will not be exercised at when the ST is greater than 40. Well, right. In case call option would be exercised, whose payoff should be ST minus 40, but that ST minus 40 is from the holder's perspective. So from the writer's perspective, it will again become 40 minus ST. This becomes ST and this becomes minus 39.65. So again, we have a cash flow. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Ashish, Soumyadeep.
Yes, sir, it is absolutely clear.
Akshat.
Oh, yes, sir.
Are you sure everybody have understood this one? Please raise your hand.
Sir, if we are selling at the strike price, the cash flow should be 40 and not 40 minus ST.
Which place?
Sir, in holding put option at T equals to 1 by 4 years. So the cash flow should be the strike price, right? Because at that price we are, we are selling it.
No, but I have already included this one now. What is the asset price? ST. Correct. So try to understand that what is the payoff when the put option is exercised from the holder's perspective. Yesterday we discussed about this, if you remember here.
Okay. So instead of writing 40 minus ST and ST separately, we can simply write 40.
That your understanding, but for the clear cut, right, we just have to write a payoff of when the put option is exercised. This is what we do.
Okay.
Sorry, I just closed this OneNote again. It's giving me some problem today.
So why we are buying the asset at t equal to 0?
Hmm?
So why we are buying the asset at t equal to 0?
Right. So try to understand this one. We are not interested in the asset because asset is not underpriced or overpriced.
Okay.
Put option is underpriced or overpriced.
Yes.
I don't want to end up with the asset with me because that is another thing because we have to look up what would have been the different value of ST. Then there would be a situation where we can have a profit, where we can have a loss. Right. So when we are holding a put option, because I know that I need to hold a put option which is underpriced, and I
Yeah.
want to get rid of the asset also, irrespective of whatever is the price of the asset. To get that one, I have written a call option. So if you look this one, holding a put option and writing a call option makes me to sell the item irrespective of whatever is the asset price and
Yeah.
the strike price. So I'm getting rid of asset also, and I'm being able to explore underpriced put option. And this is kind of I can be able to explore this arbitrage condition.
Okay, sir.
Is it clear?
Sir, just want to clarify. So when S of t is less than equal to 40, the reason why right call is equal to 0 is that the buyer will not come to me basically to
Yes.
purchase the
Yes.
asset, and he will basically, yeah, that's why it is 0
Mhm.
intuitively. Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Now it's good. Thank you, sir.
No, because when this is the call option, if and you are writing a call option, so the holder will try to see that market price is less than 40. So why he will buy from you where he can get at a lower price in the market?
Yes, sir. Because it is lower than 40, then he will purchase from there also.
Okay.
Why should he pay 40 rupees to me? Yes.
Right. So before I move on to you can see there is a case study written here. So I want you to read that article. No, but before there one more thing I would like to explain here intuitively because that does not require too many mathematical expression. So if I remove this call option premium and if I say that how the payoff of a call option should look like from holder's perspective. Let me write it as a K1. So this is the payoff from the holder's perspective, correct? Am I right?
Yes, sir.
All of you agree?
Yes.
Correct. So if I have to write this one from the writer's perspective, correct? It would be just opposite of this. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Correct. Now there are two situations. If I say that K1 and there is another value which is K2. Correct. So this would be the payoff of holder and this would be the payoff of writer for K1 and K2. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
All of you agree? So this is for the writers one and this is for the holders one, neglecting the premium amount. So now looking into this one, can you tell me for K1 or K2, This is for the same asset with the same expiry. Correct? Where the call option premium should be high.
Sir, K2.
A2.
K2, why? Very good, K2, but why?
Sir, because
Sir, because
the writer is having more risk because K2's price is less.
Right. Great.
exactly, yes, sir. That's why he will charge more premium bond. Like,
Right. Anybody else having any other explanation? Because whatever you have said is absolutely fine. I just want to refine a little bit about that. Soumyadeep, do you want to add something onto that?
No, sir, I agree.
Minu Kumari, Mridupan, Anuj, anybody have anything extra to say? Ashish, Avik, anybody? So, I mean, try to understand that one. If the probability, let me talk about that. If the probability that an option will be exercised is more, then the risk is more from the writer's perspective.
yes, sir.
Did you get this? Because now later on also we will talk about this probability. So if the probability of any options to be exercised is more, the risk is more from the writer's perspective. Do you agree or not?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir,
Because
agree.
writer don't want to like have like someone will finally at expiry will come to him to get that asset.
Right. So even if forget about the normal distribution, if I assume that ST can lie between any value between 0 to m, like, and even if I assume that this is as a uniform distribution, forget about the normal distribution. Now the probability that this would be exercised is how much? It is between K1 and m, and the probability that the second option will exercise is uniform distribution between K2 and m. Because the probability is higher in the second case, the premium should be more, right? So I can simply say that if I lower the strike price, my premium should go up. My premium should go up. Do you agree with this?
Yes.
Similarly, for the put option, I try to see, and in the similar argument, I can say that if I lower the strike price, my premium should decrease. Do you agree? Do you agree or not?
Yes, sir.
Right. So let's say this is K1 and again this is K2. Right? So from the holder's perspective, this is the payoff for K2 and this is the payoff for K1. And from the writer's perspective, the loss is this much. So here I can say that if I have lowered the value of the option 1 strike price K2, my probability has to, that the option will be exercised has also decreased. Do you agree with this?
Yes,
Akshay,
sir.
Anuj,
Sir, can you repeat it again?
have you understood for the call option? Yes or no? Have
Yes,
you
sir.
understood? Right. So try to understand for the higher strike price K1. This is the reason where the option can be exercised, assuming that no price cannot go negative. And for the K2,
Yes.
this is the reason where the option will be exercised. So in which case the probability of exercising this put option is more with K2 or K1?
K1.
K1. So if the probability is more, the risk is more, and if the risk is more, the premium should be high. This is very logical, inferences. So I can simply write this one. If I lower the strike price, my premium should also decrease. So if I going from K1 to K2, my premium should also decrease. Please raise your hand if you have understood this. Right. So can you open the OneNote and read this case study for, let's say 2-3 minutes or 5 minutes, and then we will discuss about it, because the risk hedging technique which we will be discussing, for that one this is a very good example. Can you read it? Can you zoom it in your system and read that one? Yes or no? Can you read, zoom it and read that one in your
Yes.
system?
Yes, sir.
So please read that one and then we'll discuss.
Sir, which section we have to read, or should we read whole?
Just read now few paragraphs, then you will try to understand what is happening. And rest you can read it after the class. Okay. So did you get the feel of it, what it is saying? Anybody who wants to discuss about it? Soumya, Deep, Akshat, Ashish, Abhay, Aditya, anybody? Ashish?
Yes, sir. They bought palladium just like steel and copper, and as palladium is a very volatile material, they did not get that risks under their balance sheets. And after some time, palladium price dropped very much, and they were not able to cash in their prices after it, so they got a loss.
Okay, Akshat, anything else?
No, sir, agree with him, like whatever he's saying.
Okay, Soumyadeep, Abhay, Paras, Gaurang, Anuj.
Sir, later on, they also, like some investor also sue to them, odd one, but they somehow they deny the uh, like investors, whatever they are filing suit against for.
Right, I would say that I have put this.
So like I
Yes, Ashish, your voice is breaking. I'm sorry.
read
Your voice is completely breaking. I'm not being able to understand.
So, like in the article, there is written like the purchasing department was buying, and they were not considering the fact that their research development department were trying innovations to reduce the use of palladium. So,
Right.
like there
So
was kind of
very
miscommunication within the departments.
right, very good. So what is the hidden inferences out of it? Is that, I mean, instead of buying and stockpiling it, they could have gone with some kind of risk strategy, like buying an option kind of thing, or entering into the agreement like forward or something, isn't it? It's not very old story. Do you agree with this? If they could have bought the option, they could have simply refused to exercise it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are they
Yes.
showing off, sir?
Which one?
Like, are they showing off like the spending $1 billion to provide? Yeah, option they can perform like it.
Right. I mean, they could have done this is already gone. Right.
So
This is
you are saying like they could have hold the call option for palladium.
right. Or also enter into the forward contract as per as the requirement would have been. There is one more concept which is called swap. I mean, there are many mitigation strategy, and I can say that in different scenario, it's not that one risk strategy can applicable to all the scenario. Right. So it's you have a different risk mitigation strategy trying to understand that what could have been the future scenario. Right. So one way of understanding, there was not a proper communication between the company. So that is beyond scope. But we can only think about that. Okay, instead of stockpiling, what else they could have done it, so that instead of paying the money and buying it, they could have simply get rid of it. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So some of those things, and especially spread and other things, we will start from tomorrow. So we will talk about bull spread and bear spread tomorrow. You can read that one in either from the Kapensky or Hull. Why the name? If you see that if the market everything is going up, we call it as the market has become bull. There is a very good and if the prices is going down, then we said that the bear. I don't know exactly why it is called bull and bear, but what I mean, I am not 100% sure the explanation which I'm going to give you is right or not. So if a bull has to fight, it will throw everything up, and if the bear has to fight, it will smash you down. I guess this is the reason why it is called bull and bear. So I might be wrong. Let me tell you,
Yes,
but
sir.
just for understanding, you
Yes,
have.
like this is what even I have
Yes,
heard
this
explanation.
is what I also heard.
But I have not read it from a very authenticated source, so I cannot say that this is the right one. Correct. So, Okay, so we will start with the other risk mitigating strategy from tomorrow. Is it okay? So see you tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, 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 sir.